Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joanna Nelson, and I am with the New Mexico Economic Development Department. And you have tuned in for a really great session today. This is a part of our COVID-19 response webinar series. And today we are talking with a really fantastic partner of ours, and that is the New Mexico Finance Authority, and they will be talking about their Essential Service Working Capital Program, which is a new program that they have created and tailored to address COVID-19 relief. So really excited to have them and for them to be sharing their time and expertise with us. And I want to thank you again for joining in. I do want to cover a few things before we get started. I want to mention that this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to access this recording after today's presentation. We also will be sending this presentation out as a PDF, so all of the links that you will see and the information that'll be available to you after the presentation. We did receive your questions that you submitted when you registered, so we will do our best to address those after the presentation. And during the presentation, please, if you have questions, feel free, don't hesitate to type those in, and we will do our best to get to those as well. I did want to go over a few things from the Economic Development Department, just so to make sure we've been saying these every webinar, but just to make sure that awareness is out there about some of the programs that we have. So in regard to our COVID-19 response, we do have a few programs for businesses. One of them is a business loan guarantee program. We can guarantee up to 80% of the principal amount or up to $50,000. And so this is you working with a lender, and we will partner with that lender and guarantee the amount. We're not making any loans, but this helps with guaranteeing the loan to the lender so that they will make loans. And these are for projects that have been negatively impacted by the health crisis. We also have our Local Economic Development Act, LEDA. We have a 0% interest loan program. This is the program that is put into place by our constitution of the state. So we are limited by particular guidelines. You do have to be an eligible entity. But if you do qualify, you can use this loan to pay for expenses related to land, building, or infrastructure. And something that has been applicable during this period is you can use this loan to pay for lease payments or mortgage assistance as well. There's also the New Mexico Recovery Fund. This is a program that is being run out of Sun Mountain Capital. This is for medium-sized companies. If you have more than 40 employees, I would encourage you to reach out and explore that to see if it's a fit. I mentioned our webinar series. We are averaging about a webinar once a week. This week is a busy week for us. We have several webinars going on. So I did put those here. We will be having 2 webinars on Thursday, which is tomorrow. Our outdoor division director, Axie Navas, will be discussing a newly announced program called the Outdoor Equity Fund, and that will be tomorrow at 11. Our Main Street program will be discussing the perfect time for building and site improvements, and that'll be at 2:15. And they've been hosting webinars every Thursday, which is really great resource. And I do want to mention, when we put this recording up on our YouTube channel, it's a fantastic depository of all previous webinars that we've had. So I will go ahead and put the link to our YouTube channel, and you can see not only the webinars that we have been doing during the health crisis and addressing COVID-19 relief programs, but you can also see previous webinars that we've done prior to the health pandemic that address financing programs and opportunities. We have a Buy for Tomorrow Today website. Hopefully you already know about this, but we created this website to help businesses put their business on a website and enable customers to purchase gift cards to their business to help with cash flow. We know because of closures that many businesses are extremely suffering right now due to limited or no cash flow. So this is a way that customers can help and purchase gift cards. It is free to register. We have over 600 businesses statewide. So if you haven't already, this is a great opportunity to list your businesses and engage with customers. Here is the contact for the Economic Development Department. I put Mark Roper's contact. He is the division director. He also manages the 0% LIDA interest or 0% interest loan program. You can reach out to him. I put my contact. You can reach out to me with any questions about the guarantee program, and then you can access the entire staff at this link. And I also put a map of the EDD regional representatives. These folks represent the department in all regions of the state. They live in these areas and are the face and the boots on the ground for the department. They're an excellent resource to help with technical assistance, questions, direct you to the right organizations and the right help that you need for your businesses. So if you don't already know these folks, feel free to reach out and chat with them if you have needs or questions. I also finally wanted to make sure that we point out that the 2020 census is in full swing. It's more important now than ever for folks to be counted. If you haven't already, please take a little bit of time. It takes a few minutes to fill out your census. This is incredibly integral to any type of federal funding assistance that the state receives. And the more folks that we can count, the better off, the better position that New Mexico can be in when we are competing for assistance. So without further delay, I want to turn it over to New Mexico Finance Authority and introduce John Brooks. So John, you want to go ahead and get started?
Sure. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you for allowing us to have at this time to work with you guys on this. You have been a great partner in throughout the years, and we look forward to continue our partnership throughout the next upcoming years. So before I get started, just I wanted to do is just introduce myself. My name is John Brooks. I'm the Managing Director of the Commercial Lending Department at the Finance Authority. And we are looking forward to talk to you today about the Essential Service Working Capital Program. It is a new program that we put together to help with the COVID relief in the state of New Mexico, especially those considered essential services by the governor. And I'll go through some of the eligible projects. A little bit about the Finance Authority and our mission statement. Our mission statement, advancing New Mexico by financing impactful, well-planned projects, explains what we do at the Finance Authority. We want to be able to help the state of New Mexico and the folks in New Mexico to be able to enjoy some of the fruits of our labor by having great projects, such as the one that's pointed out in this particular slide, but also all the projects that potentially could come through the Finance Authority to help move New Mexico forward and help New Mexico be a thriving state. A little bit about New Mexico Finance Authority and some of our history. As you can see, the Finance Authority was created in 1992 to help plan, coordinate, and finance public projects. Since 1994, the Finance Authority has financed over 2 billion projects throughout the state of New Mexico. And so those projects include infrastructure projects, building projects, economic development projects throughout the state. And specifically in 2003, the Finance Authority brought in some of our powers through financing powers through the statewide Economic Development Finance, or SWEFA. And this allowed the Finance Authority to partner with the Economic Development Department to offer projects that take public dollars and finance it for public projects, or private projects, excuse me, for private projects. With this act, this allows us to do what we're going to talk about today, the essential service working capital, because we are looking to help out those private businesses that are in need during this time. So a little bit about the Essential Service Working Capital Program and how it works. The Finance Authority is looking to offer emergency loans for essential service providers or essential businesses that need operational capital or working capital during this health crisis, and basically help these businesses to be able to continue to operate during this time. The funding is available for for-profit businesses and also for nonprofit organizations. The loan amounts could be up to $1 million based on borrowing capacity. The loan terms with up to 5-year maturities. We could do lines of credit up to 1 year, and also term loans in up to 5 years. And I'll go into more information about the terms and how each one of the line of credit and also a term loan works later on in this presentation. Also, we can secure the loans through receivables and other personal property of the borrower. The interest rates are going to be at 1%. And this is, I want to emphasize, this is a loan program. It's not a grant program, and we don't have any grant monies available at this time to help out during this emergency crisis. And due to limited capacity, we are excluding retail businesses at this point in time. So if we are able to later on evaluate the fund and see if retail businesses are eligible, we may make that changes, but right now retail businesses are not eligible. So a little bit more about the program and how it works. Starting off with the eligible entity list. As you can see on this list, we have different types of businesses that are eligible to apply for the program, starting with rural hospitals, behavioral health providers, healthcare facilities, dentists, pharmacies, research facility, childcare facilities, and you can see the list on this particular page. The reason we are focusing on sort of the behavioral health care and medical care providers, because when the PPP program was established, we noticed that for those businesses that took on Medicare revenues, they were not initially a part of the PPP program or eligible as part of the PPP program. But since then, they became eligible. But we also noticed that these businesses are in need of working capital financing. Also, what's good about this particular program, if these businesses that are listed here receive the PPP program, it does not exclude you from applying for the Essential Services Working Capital Program. So we will be able to help out those that did receive those particular funds. So types of organizations and use of funds. The types of organizations that are eligible to apply are for-profit corporations and also 501c3 nonprofit corporations. So both for-profit and nonprofit corporations are eligible. In terms of eligible uses for the Essential Service Working Capital Fund, it is a working capital program. And so we are looking to help out with operational expenses such as purchase supplies, payment of utilities or similar bills, payroll, payment of rent or mortgage. So these are the things that are eligible for it. So it is not eligible for purchases of capital equipment, facility renovations, or even if you're looking to purchase a building. These are some of the expenses that we are not looking to fund in this particular program. We do have other programs that can help out with those other type of expenditures, but this particular program is based on operational expenditures based on the needs at this point in time. So the first type of loan that we can make in this particular program are working capital term loans. A working capital term loan is what it says is it's a term loan that will help out with some of your operational needs. The maximum loan size is $1 million, and that's going to be based on your request and your ability to make that the repayment of the $1 million. So we'll look at the financial capacity of the borrower to repay the loan. And as I mentioned earlier, the interest rate is on this particular program is going to be 1%. That is going to be fixed for the life of the loan, and so it is not a variable rate loan. For the application, when you apply, there is no application or closing cost, and so that is something that will benefit the borrower in this particular transactions. The loans will be secure on a lien on available business assets. So, and in terms of looking at the viability of the loan and the ability to repay the loan, of course, we want to look at the cash flow of the business, but we also look at our collateral, and the collateral must exceed the amount of the loan. Any party that owns 20% of interest in an organization will be required to personally guarantee the loan. But in those cases when the applicant is a board member or a nonprofit organization, there is no guarantee that is required. So this is the term loan structure, and we are taking applications for this term loan structure. On the next slide, we're going to talk about is the working capital lines of credit. Initially, the lines of credit will be established for 6 months with an approval. And if after that 6 months, if a company needs additional working capital needs, they can request to an additional 6 months. So for a total of 12 months is possible through a line of credit. Line of credits will, at the end of the 6-month or 12-month term, will be converted into a term loan. And once it's converted to a term loan, the principal and interest payments will begin at that point in time. So with any working capital line of credit, the payments on the line will be based off the amount borrowed and the interest payments on the amount borrowed. So for example, if you have a $100,000 line, you borrow $10,000, 1% of the $10,000 is $100, and that will be your payment. And once it's converted, then that will change. The new term loan will be repaid over a period not to exceed 5 years. So once you convert your working capital loan into a term loan, you have an additional 4 years to pay off that loan. The lines of credits will be secured by receivables and other personal property, again, of the borrower. The interest rates at 1%, and again, no application or close-in fees, and there is no prepayment penalty. So if you are in a position to pay off the line of credit, then you can pay it off at any time. In terms of the project application and to complete the application and the timelines in which you will have to get the application into the Finance Authority. The applications are due every third Friday of each month until the money runs out. We only have $12 million in this program, and therefore the funds are limited. The application process and approval process takes approximately a month. And if you need the funds faster than that month, please contact the NMFA staff and we will determine if emergency request is available. You can send all applications to business@nmfa.net, and you can also get the application from www.nmfa.net. Now, our staff is dedicated to respond back to any emails or business requests within 2 hours of receiving the application. And also later on this slide, there is some contact information that you can use to contact either myself or Ryan O'Geen. We will be there to answer any questions. So what happens next? So once you determine you are an eligible entity, you also determine that you need assistance with some of your operational needs. How do you apply, and what are the steps in applying? So number one, you can again contact the NMFA at business@nmfa.net. We will help the borrower determine if they're eligible through conversations. If the borrower is eligible, you can submit an application online, and staff will receive the application and begin processing your application. The NMFA staff will review the application for readiness and contact the borrower if we need additional information. Once the financial analysis has been performed and we determine that we could continue to move forward, we will create a write-up that will go before the NMFA board review process. That is a three-step process, which includes an internal credit committee, and an economic development committee, which is a subset of the NMFA board, and then the NMFA board for a full review of the process. This process seems we will work with the borrower through each part of the process to make sure that you understand where we stand with the application. If the application is approved by the NMFA board, we will contact the borrower and begin closing on the loan after the board has approved the loan. Hopefully we could get it closed within a timely manner after the board approved, and so we can be able to provide the funds to the borrower. And so, again, this is a short presentation. We thank you for your participation. Here is some of our contact information on today's topic. You can email business@nmfa.net, or you could contact myself at jbrooks@nmfa.net, or Ryan O'Geen at r.o'geen@nmfa.net. So with that, I stand for questions at this point in time.
Thanks, John. That was short and sweet. Really good information. So I'm going to read you some questions, and I'd like to encourage anyone, if you have questions, feel free to type those in. This is your chance to talk with the expert and get all the information you need. So one of the first questions that we had was, let's see, let me pull up the screen. Let's see. What information do businesses need when they are applying? Is there's some advice that you can offer the businesses of the information that they need to gather before they begin this application process?
Sure. So some of the information we need in order to process the application is at least 2 years worth of financials. If we don't have 2 years worth of financials, we would like to see a profit or loss statement for the current year. Also, we would like to see some of the organizational documents, such as the articles of incorporation, and all the documents that are associated with the business. And then also, if they have other loans, we would need some of that information just to make sure we have an accurate debt profile. And if they also apply for the PPP program, we just want to make sure we meet their timing as the PPP program runs out. We want to make sure we have the money available during at the time that that program runs out, that program funding runs out.
Okay, great, thank you. And that application you mentioned, they can access that online. Any idea about how long it can they save it while they're applying?
Yeah, the application is a PDF application, so they
Oh,
can
okay.
save. Yeah, so they can save it. So it's an easier form than doing it online. So you just download the application, fill it out, and send it to the email, the business@nmfa.net. You know, one thing I want to add too is if you make sure if the borrowers can add in their uh, uh, key employees of the organization, so we can have that information as well as we go through the application process.
Okay, great. Thank you. We got a couple of questions, John, about, I think these are more general, but they are speaking to what loan programs does NMFA offer? So it might be a good opportunity if you want to share a little bit of insight into all the, really briefly, all the other stuff you guys do that help businesses and communities.
Sure. So NMFA has 16 different programs. And those programs focus on from public communities to economic development. So I'll step through some of the programs that we have on the public side, and then I'll step through some of the programs that we have on the private side. So starting with the public side, we do have a program called the Public Project Revolving Fund, which is our flagship program. It is designed to provide local communities such as municipalities, counties, tribal governments, any public body with the ability to borrow money at a AAA rate. So the borrower is getting low cost of funds based off of our bond rating that we receive. The loans could be up to amount of the project. It is secured by either the gross receipts tax of the community or the let's say net system revenues of a water system or wastewater system. It could be any type of public project that a public body can offer. Now, or request. One of the things about this particular program is you do have to be on our authorization list. And so any project that's over $1 million, we do require legislative authorization. And you could get a hold of one of our regional finance managers. They can add you to that list. So this program, the PPRF, is our flagship program and is designed to assist any public body with any capital needs. Some of those capital needs could be equipment, building infrastructure, building a project, infrastructure project, anything underneath the sun would qualify. The next program I want to talk about is our Drinking Water Revolving Loan Fund program. That is a revolving loan fund program that is designed to provide safe drinking water to public bodies. Some of the loans are now at 1%, and you have to be on the priority list that is put together by the New Mexico Environment Department, along with the assistance of the New Mexico Finance Authority. So once you're placed on that priority list, we can get money out to you for water related projects. Another program we have is the Water Trust Board. The Water Trust Board is a grant loan combination program where we can assist with water projects throughout the state of New Mexico. I'm just rattling. I'm sorry, there's so many programs, so just bear with me. The Colonias Infrastructure Programs, again, it's an infrastructure program to those entities that are designated as colonias. And I believe the designation is 150 miles from the Mexico border. And then on top of that, we have a planning grant program called the Local Government Planning Grant that allows public bodies to get a planning document put together. So that's a planning document includes a program engineering report for your water system, or plans and specs for your water system. You could do an economic development plan. You could do any type of feasibility plan. And all these items are listed on our website, so you could determine what if you're eligible, or if you have a plan that's eligible, and you look it up on our website. So these are some of the programs that we have on the public side. On the private side, we have a program called Smart Money, which is a loan participation program in which we help finance private businesses for some of their capital needs. So that could be purchase equipment, building, or working capital needs through that particular program. The unique thing about this program is that we have to work with your local banks to participate in their loans. So you start off with contacting your bank, and then the bank will work with the finance authority in order to provide financing for this project. We could participate up to 49% of the financing. And so, you could contact the finance authority about that particular program as well. Also, we have another program called the New Market Tax Credit Program, which allows tax credit investors to invest in a project that is located in a low-income census tract. Again, you would need to contact the Finance Authority staff or the Economic Development Department staff to see if your project is located in an eligible census tract. If it is, then we can work with you in providing financing for that particular program, through that particular program. We will probably be open up a round coming up in the end of June. These rounds are allocate a particular amount of tax credits to a specific project. Right now, we have, I believe, $12 million remaining in the program in terms of allocation. And so we will be offering that up in a competitive cycle coming up pretty soon. And we'll get that information out as well. And then finally, we have the Essential Service Working Capital Program, as we talked about. So those are some of the programs that we have, and those are the main programs that we operate at the Finance Authority.
Hi there. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my my microphone off mute. Thank you, John. We were putting you on the spot. You just you deserve a very good grade on rattling off all of the work that NMFA does. You guys are amazing and doing so much. All right, so we had a question. This is kind of a general question too, but is there, and you kind of answered this, but there's a question coming in from Leah asking, what kind of assistance do you offer to rural communities? So do you want to highlight anything specifically around rural communities and businesses? Um, is there
Sure.
anything?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, so to answer that question, all of our programs are designed around rural areas, and we tend to incentivize rural communities through various either interest rate reductions, or we incentivize them some type of way in terms of getting more rural projects completed in the state of New Mexico. So I mean, I mean, I want to say that we do focus on rural areas of the state, and we want, and some of our best partners are located in the rural areas of the state. And so that's a tough question to say. We offer advantages throughout rural New Mexico.
Great, thank you. We had a question come in from Deborah about, is the NMFA willing to discuss opportunities to partner with private equity investors to increase funding?
Um, to answer that question, the Finance Authority does evaluate all of our programs and evaluate other sources of um, of monies that we may be able to collaborate with to fund either one of the programs that we have, or to discuss the opportunity of creating a new program. So we would look at other equity partners and see if there is a way that we can make it work, and keep it in mind that we want to be able to provide access to all New Mexicans through this particular program through equity investors. So it's something we evaluate at the management level.
Great, thank you. We had a question come in from Juan asking about I think the previous program that has kind of morphed recently, the New Market Tax Credit Loan Program. Do you want to give an update on that, where you guys are on, or where you guys are at with that?
Sure. So we have recently looked at the New Market Tax Credit Program and try to figure out a way how we can offer new market tax credits to smaller projects throughout the state of New Mexico. And so, without going into too much details behind the scenes, what we determined is there are projects that are under $4 million throughout the state of New Mexico that need to could take advantage of the New Market Tax Credit Program. And so what we did is we created a new program called the Small Loan Pool Program through the New Market Tax Credit. And what that program does is allow the Finance Authority to take equity dollars and invest into a project that's located in a state that's under $4 million. Now, the uniqueness about that particular program is that you don't get some of the principal forgiveness like the main New Market Tax Credit Program, but what you do is you get low cost financing through equity investors buying down this interest rate costs in the program, and also lower cost of funds. So it's a program that we are rolling out. It should be out in the next several months. We do have the rules and policies in place. We just have to decide when we're going to open up a cycle. And I think that cycle will be part of the June cycle that's coming, that we're going to release at the end of June.
That's exciting. Okay, thank you, John. And let's see, we just got a question come in from Jean. And let's see if I do this question justice. So it says, does your interest rate reduction include building renovations that include electrical, mechanical, and monies for architectural proposals for redesigning building spaces? So pretty technical question.
So I'm assuming, all right, I'm gonna take this question in two different parts. I'm gonna start from a public perspective, and then I'll talk about in a private perspective. So in a public perspective, depending on where the project is located, the project may what we call get market rates. So the market rates are based on the rates that the that are given to the finance authority based on the market conditions at that point in time. And so when we issue bonds to replenish, to reimburse ourselves for the loans that we make, we give the borrowers the rates that we receive at the time that we issue those bonds. Now, the uniqueness about the program is if a borrower is located in a disadvantaged community, then there are opportunities to get lower interest rates. So that could be either at 0% or at 2% or at 3%, depending on the project location. So that's from the public perspective on building infrastructure. From a private perspective and through our loan participation program, we again base our interest rates on the U.S. Treasury rate. So right now, currently, when I looked at the Treasury rate a few days ago, a 10-year rate was at 0.59%, and we will mark it up based on risk. And so risk would include company risk, management risk, industry risk, and then interest rate risk or structural risk. So how much structure, how complex the structure will be that we're financing. We have a maximum markup on that particular program, which is called Smart Money, of about 2.5 basis points above the prevailing market rate. So in a case where the interest rate is at 0.59, the worst case scenario is a borrower would be borrowing a loan at 3.09%. So that is the way we do our interest rates. We do, depending on the program, there are competitive rates based on where the project takes place, and if the area is considered disadvantaged, and then we will lower the interest rates based on that. So you would have to contact NMFA staff, and then we could work with you to determine what that rate would be.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I had one final question, and this is more getting your insight on and creating a discussion around it. But are you seeing anything out in the field right now as PPP has hit, funding is coming in for that? You mentioned it earlier, and as we're moving into this kind of uncharted territory and kind of uncertain times, can you give any advice for businesses that are looking for financing at this point moving forward as they're kind of weighing some of the options that are out there, maybe some of the challenges that you're seeing them faced with? Do you want to kind of give your perspective on that?
Sure. What we have seen so far from on the business side, from the finance authority's perspective, as businesses have received the PPP or not have received the PPP program, one thing I would say is, number one, I would I would not leave any stone unturned. So what I mean by that is take a look at all the programs that are available. I know that the Economic Development Department has a pretty good list of programs on their website, and I would encourage you to take a look at that list because there could be a program that might fit your needs. Um, it, and then number two, I would not hesitate in applying different programs. I think that that is the key to successfully manage your needs and to be able to apply to the different programs and don't hesitate in applying to some of the programs. I think that that is a way to address some of the needs that you may have currently or even upcoming. Also, I think reaching out to various folks. I know one of a lot of people are unaware that the Finance Authority has funds available for different projects or also for businesses. For example, as I talked about smart money earlier, it is one of the programs that we offer low cost of funds through a participation with the bank, and also learning about some of the other programs that we have at such as new market tax credits and also our small loan pool. And then also stay in communication with your bankers. A lot of people think that bankers are not paying attention during this time, but actually they are, and they are concerned about keeping the economy strong in the state of New Mexico. A lot of the community bankers and bankers that we have talked to are in the same boat and trying to figure out how they can help businesses to be able to stay afloat during this time and also during the future. And I think that having open channels to all the different avenues through the state will allow the business to be successful at this time. I just could urge people to be open-minded, not and try to be patient during this time, and hopefully we could be able to help a business get through what we consider as unprecedented times.
Thanks, John. You raised some really good points, and you remind me that I did put the link to a previous webinar that NMFA conducted, which I don't even remember. Was that last summer sometime?
Yeah.
It was a while ago, but still relevant, where we had 3 representatives from NMFA, John included, discussing these programs in depth. I think that actually that webinar hit a record for us of longest webinar that we've done so far, but it's because they just went into such detail and gave such great explanation about the different programs that they have. So that's a really good resource if you want to follow up if you have questions and want to kind of explore at your own pace. So feel free to do that. And then also, John had given another webinar about the New Markets Tax Credit program, and that is available on our YouTube channel. And we'll put those when we send an email out, which we've gotten some questions about the presentation. We will be sending this presentation out. You'll also get a link to the recording, but we'll include those 2 previous webinars that NMFA has conducted as well. So I want to thank you so much, John, for your time. Thank you to all the staff at NMFA. You guys do such incredible work. You're such an important partner and create such impact in the state, like your mission on here says. So really great to work with you, and just want to echo what John already mentioned, that there are lots of organizations out there that are ready to go and ready to help right now. So you do have to be open and just reach out to us, reach out to John and the staff at NMFA, and we'll help how best we can. So thank you, John, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you all for
Thank,
tuning in.
thank you, Johanna, and everybody stay safe. And hopefully we can be able to provide assistance during this time.
Great, thank you. Take care.
Take care.